Thank you. So welcome everyone. And we are going to get started this evening. And what I'm going to continue to lead you through as we begin is exactly a way we can do our meditation. Just as reminders. Now, we all have slightly different techniques and styles, but just as small reminders of setting up our practice, just in the off chance you did not do any meditation since last week, okay? So here's your next practice session, but I really hope that you have, because it's really for you and your mind. It's a support for you and your mind. Okay, let's find our way into our posture. Finding that good posture, especially with the spine as extended as possible. So once again, as if the back is straight. And once again, you want to check the spine, position of the legs, position of your hands, your head, keeping the neck and shoulders relaxed, the eyes lightly closed, focus towards the tip of the nose or the floor and the space in front, and the position of the mouth, teeth, and tongue. And let's allow ourselves to relax as we begin. We've let go the activities of the day for this moment, for this time. Take a nice deep breath. Let it fill your body, mind with space, positive energy. And as you exhale, imagine releasing any tension you're holding in your body and mind. And just do that a couple more times. And just reflect on your motivation right now. This one bookend of our practice, motivation, so important. And can you now orient your mind in a most positive way? That meditation is a process to calm your mind, to open your heart, fundamentally to get to know yourself better and feel more comfortable with yourself, with your mind, as it goes through all its various activities. If I bring more peace into my mind, into my life, more happiness, can I use that in my practice? Build that into my practice to help me reach a place where I can not only share that experience with everyone, but maybe help lead them to that place as well, if they're interested. So if you like that type of motivation, feel free to include that, and just take a moment right now to set that positive motivation. So let's clear out some of the cobwebs now in our subtle energy system that will help us meditate better. Many breathing exercises. Let's do this 9-round breathing. This is one variation. So you can begin by closing off your right nostril. Exhale deeply through the left. As you inhale, close off the left nostril and inhale deeply through the right. Imagine lessening anger and hatred from your mind stream 3 times. The second round, we're going to close off our left nostril. Exhale deeply through the right. Then close off your right nostril, inhaling deeply through the left. And imagine you're lessening attachment and desire in your mind 3 times. The last round, we exhale through both nostrils. Inhale through both nostrils. Imagine lessening confusion and ignorance in your mind 3 times. Bring your awareness to your breath right now, a normal, natural breath, just to settle the mind for a moment. Let's work a little bit on concentration. We're going to use an object right now other than the breath. So focusing on the breath, counting the breaths, certainly a type of concentration or placement or stabilizing meditation. We want to bring our awareness there. The bare attention meditation is more focused on mindfulness. We're just aware of what's happening with the mind, watching a thought come and go, letting it float off while you return your mind, for instance, to an object on which you're meditating, but you're more focused on just being mindful of what's happening, as opposed to concentration, applying your mind to one object and keeping it there stably. So we use both of these in meditation. So right now, I'd like you to imagine a golden drop of light right outside the nostrils, a small drop outside the nostrils where the air enters in and leaves the body. Radiant gold drop of light. I'd like you to place your attention on that drop as best as you can. And don't worry, where am I looking at it from inside? Am I looking at it from the outside? You're seated where you are. Just imagine the drop there at your nostrils. Keep it simple. And that is your object of concentration. The mind is there. As best as you can, absorb your mind into that drop. Your mind wanders, which is normal. With that mindfulness, you just become aware. You're off the drop and simply, gently return your awareness to the drop. What can help you to keep you concentrated, if you're about to lose the drop and wander off after a sound or a thought, brighten the intensity of the drop. Just make it brighter. Sometimes it will pull the mind back. Just try your best. So please relax. And slowly, when you're ready, please open your eyes. So last week, we started talking about obstacles in meditation. And then I want to talk a little bit more about Shine meditation, which is calm abiding, which we were just trying with the drop. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. And so just as a review, we did the bare awareness meditation. We talked about analytical and stabilizing meditation with examples. And we started talking about antidotes to distraction and excitement when you're in meditation. So some people, bringing the mind down, thinking about death and impermanence, applying different antidotes, being patient with yourself. Okay. So let's look at what happens when the mind gets dull, meaning you're sleepy. That's another distraction. You want to meditate, but you're dozing off, you're nodding, or your mind, you're trying to focus on an object. You're even trying to meditate on a topic of the philosophy, but the mind's not very clear. And even if you're doing a visualization, which we're going to do next week, visualizing something, the mind, it's very fuzzy. It's not a very clear visualization, what we're trying to visualize. Like you may have the drop there at the end of your nostrils. It's not very clear, almost about to lose it because it's so unclear. This is dullness. lethargy, it's called. Dullness or lethargy. So here are some antidotes of what do I do? And some of them are very practical. Number one is check your posture. Check your physical posture. You know, some people sit very much with their head down, head dropped down. That makes you sleepy. Okay, so again, it's a balanced posture for the neck and shoulders. Again, I'm not too far up here because that leads to distraction. It can. Too far down, a little bit drowsy. For some people that don't have room where they're sitting and they have to sit on their bed because they don't have that much space in their room or apartment, try to sit in a different direction than you sleep. Because sometimes you're in that same position and you go, well, maybe I'll just do the meditation and lie down. And the next thing you know, you're sleeping. And it creates a habit that when you meditate, you get drowsy. So let's be practical. Unless you have a serious spine injury or a reason physically you cannot sit up straight, again, with your sides long, that spine as extended as possible, it's really helpful to try that posture at least, because otherwise we start to get lazy in the practice. Okay. Another antidote is you may try meditating with the eyes slightly open to let a little light in. That can help if you're drowsy. Again, very practical. The opposite with distraction is if you're very distracted, close your eyes entirely, but lightly. Because if I'm letting light in, it might distract me. But when you're drowsy, dullness, let a little bit of light in. You can also visualize a white light at your head, bright light at your head. It tends to draw the energy up to counteract sleepiness if you're very tired. That can be helpful. You can brighten the lights in the room in which you're sitting. You can reflect on something joyful and positive. So sometimes what we'll do is, if you're very sleepy and you're kind of wasting time, and you go, I think I'll lay down and sleep, meditate on precious human rebirth. Just think for a moment of one of those 8 freedoms, 10 richnesses, those situations that make up a precious or perfect human rebirth. Or mainly just think about some of the good circumstances of your life, what a precious opportunity that you have, that you've connected with the Dharma and a center and a meditation course, and that you're trying to meditate. How fantastic is that? So that sometimes gets people a little bit like, I better do this. I better do this. This is what I want to do right now. And also check your general state of mind for depression, anxiety, things like that. There may be some low-lying depression and anxiety that keeps you sleepy every time you get into meditation. And depression, a byproduct is exhaustion and fatigue. So can you engage in meditations or methods that counteract a depressive state of mind, which again, one of them is precious human rebirth. Another thing is to get enough sleep. It could be a sign that you're just not getting enough sleep, whether you need to go to bed earlier or stop watching certain programs late at night or looking at things on your devices late at night that can create that activity in the mind, overactivity in the mind that makes you tired, or makes you fatigued, like that. You may need to sleep. I know that if you have an opportunity to do longer retreat, which I know is kind of special and not a lot of people are doing that these days. But one time I had a good vantage to do a longer retreat. And I was so active getting into retreat and getting all my supplies and getting everything taken care of and just resigning this position and training the next people. And so the first 2 weeks, I just gave myself over on the retreat that whenever I wanted to sleep, I would sleep so that I could fully rest my body. Now that's a luxury like that, but just so I could fully rest. So it is a message if you need to get more sleep. And maybe at the time you really want to meditate, if you're that sleepy, maybe it's best to just have a quick nap and then get up. Those power naps can be really helpful, the 15, 20-minute naps like that, as opposed to sleeping too much. So, and again, sometimes you need to get up and stretch yourself out right where you are. Go into the bathroom, splash cold water on your face. If it's winter and you live in a cold climate and you're really sleepy every time you're meditating, go outside, get a little cold air on your face for a moment. That can wake you up. That can wake you up. So those are sometimes techniques used in a longer meditation retreat where you find at certain sessions and you're drowsy, and that's a way to wake you up where you still have more time to do the session. So again, these are practical instances like that: drowsiness or dullness, how to combat that. Okay. Let's think about also, well, we're going to talk about this in a moment. Let me talk about Shine right now. Shine meditation. Okay. Shine is a word in Tibetan that means calm abiding. Calm abiding. And so what we're trying to do and what we think of as standard meditation is you're placing your mind on an object and you're keeping it there calmly. It's abiding, it's staying there on the object. Your object could be the breath, golden radiant drop of light. It could be an image of the Buddha. It could be a topic of the philosophy that you're meditating on analytically. And you want to keep your mind focused on that topic, the points you're making to drive the topic home, to have a deeper insight. Ultimately, an experiential realization. And you need it. You need single pointed concentration, shine, it's another word for shine, to have those realizations of the Lam Rim, like that. So let me explain a little bit using this golden drop of light that I had mentioned before, right here outside the nostrils. Okay. If you find it doesn't work outside the nostrils, okay, and if you're very tired, I would have it here in the middle of your forehead at the third eye position. Bring it up. If you find you're extremely distracted, I would move it down to the navel level and see how that works. You can experiment. Don't keep moving it around though constantly. Find a spot and try that for a couple of weeks. See if that works. Okay. If you're using the golden drop of light. Again, you can have shine on absolutely any object. Okay. It's not from the object side that it's drawing your attention, that it's building your concentration. It's from your mind side. It's from your mind side. So what you're doing with one part of your mind, you're placing it on the object. Like I said, absorb your mind into that object, ideally. Another part of your mind is checking the clarity of the visualization. Is the drop really clear? You know, are you really on the breath quite focusedly? Or am I kind of a little bit fuzzy on it? But it's easier. We usually use a visual image when we begin shine, a visual image like that. And the reason is we're ultimately going to build images around images of Buddhas. And the reason we like to use the Buddha as an image in our tradition is it's said it's uplifting for the mind and it leaves a positive imprint on your mind. Ultimately, if you want to take tantric empowerment, you're then going to be visualizing yourself as that aspect of the Buddha in your Buddha's paradise with all these images and things like that. So you really want to have some clear images of enlightened beings or Buddhas or things like that, if you like that. And again, it leaves a very positive imprint on the mind for future practices. So what you could do this week, what I'd like you to do for homework is choose an object on which to meditate. Choose an object and a visual object. So if you want to pick an image of the Buddha, don't be overwhelmed. Don't be overwhelmed. But what you can do is have an image of the Buddha, a card, a statue, look at it for a while. But when you're doing shine, you're closing your eyes and you're bringing it up as a mental image. So you're not looking at a card and doing shine. You're not looking at a picture of the Buddha. It's a mental image. You're bringing it to mind. You're just using the card as a crutch to support you, to first know what you're looking at. Now, if you feel I can't get the whole image of the body, it's too detailed, pick a simpler image if you like. But maybe just focus on the face of the Buddha and knowing the whole body's there, but just focus on the face. If that's too much, why don't you start with the eyes? You close your eyes and you bring them to mind, and very much directed there with one part of the mind. The second part of the mind, clarifying the intensity. We'd say sharpening the intensity, meaning I'm bringing those eyes, I'm bringing that face, that body more clearly into focus. Fine tuning. Those are the two exercises we're often doing in Shine, but very firmly. It takes a lot of effort, especially the first 7 stages of Shine. There's 9 stages until you achieve calm abiding. 9 different stages. The first stage, you're barely able to stay on your object for 2 seconds. That's fine. That's the beginning. Each subsequent stage, you're lengthening that period that you're on and decreasing the period you're off the object. So we just try. And the reason how we get good at it is by practicing it and doing it to build that focus, that concentration. So you're keeping your mind on the object, and this is the Shine. And if you want to open your eyes for a moment and look, you're following the strain, a train tracks on the object firmly. Distractions are going to come, pulling you away, and you are right there on your object, the meditation, unwaveringly as best as you can, continuing to lengthen that strand of concentration, lengthening that thread longer and longer periods on the object, part of the mind clarifying the intensity, the focus, the clarity of it. So if you're doing some concentration, which I'd recommend, for instance, let's say you've got your posture, relax into the posture, okay? Set a motivation, maybe do the 9-round breathing or counting the breaths like that. You might want to have just a brief, bare awareness, bare attention meditation, just something to slowly 2-3 minutes settle the mind, and maybe the 9-round breathing, like I said. And then from there, it's really nice, especially in the morning when you're clear, when you start meditation, is maybe 5-10 minutes of Shine. Longer if you can, but 5-10 minutes. Practice a little bit of the concentration. Now, what you want to do is, if you have 10 minutes, and if you're newer, break it into 2 5-minute segments. There's no point meditating for long periods of time when you're just thoroughly distracted and you're not concentrating at all. So keep the segments short, and overall, keep your meditation sessions short until you have more weight there and balance, where you feel like it's going well, and now you can sit for longer periods of time. That's great. We build that slowly. We develop that. So what you're going to do is, with 10 minutes, you don't really need a timer. You can estimate the 5 minutes. And you can have a little clock next to you or your watch or something. And just be careful, if you have the phone there as a timekeeper, that all the notifications are turned off, all the sounds are turned off, because it's just going to distract you. That's why I often tell people to have a different type of time mechanism. Okay. But you can quickly check, and if you see you're at 3 minutes, then you just go back to the meditation, back on your object. Okay. So if you find in a 5-minute segment you're completely losing the object again and again, more than 3 times, just rest your mind for a moment, right in the meditation. Open your eyes. You don't need to move, but open your eyes 10 or 20 seconds, just rest the mind off the object. Maybe glance around the room for a moment, just moving your eyes. And then close your eyes, bring the object to mind, and back to the meditation. You try again. And it's really helpful, before you start with Shine, make a little determination in your mind that this is what I'm doing now. I'm going to practice some calm abiding, some Shine. And I'm going to keep my mind focused on this object for the next 5 minutes without my mind wandering. And then you begin. So that kind of brings everything. This is what I'm doing now. You try like that. So again, exercise slowly. We try. You try your best. So I just wanted to explain that. Now, the reason we want to build concentration again, the reason we want to use concentration, first of all, it helps us in everyday life. There's no question. It helps us in everyday life, helps us to concentrate more, to be more focused. You know why you went upstairs. You know what you went upstairs for. You know where your glasses are. Okay. It really helps to drive that focus home. I find my meditation practice really supports that mindfulness in that way, like that. But the other thing is, in order to have a direct perception of emptiness, you need Shine to get that. So you need to have the penetrative insights to be able to get a direct perception of the nature of reality, of the truth. Like that, you can't do it. That's really the purpose in our tradition of Shine. It's not just to have a concentrated mind and to be clairvoyant. It's to get emptiness, like that. So in order to have Shine, to be able to have a really good meditation experience consistently, this is built on good morality. Good morality. Okay. And those are called the 3 higher trainings. Basically, good ethical conduct, concentration, and wisdom are called the 3 higher trainings. Okay. So it makes sense. It makes sense. Because if I have good ethical conduct, and what that means is I'm not lying to people, so I don't have to worry about what I said to this person and that person, and she might tell this person. And you don't steal anything. So you're not really worried about, anybody getting upset and accusing you of something. You're kind of clear in your relations, your communication with people, and leading that kind of ethical life. That's the kind of thing I mean by overall ethics. You're not killing insects. You're trying to abide in a certain harmony with the planet. Then your mind's calmer and more peaceful. So based on that, when I sit, I'm not worried about, oh, this thing, and I didn't do that, and I know that person, I said that to that person, and it's okay. We're doing the best we can. And so then based on that, I can then use that penetrative insight, that calm abiding, to apply it more and more in emptiness meditation. That. Okay, so I just wanted to talk a little bit about Shine, and it's really excellent if you're able to find an object on which, and when you're finding an object, again, image of the Buddha, fantastic. We're going to use that next week as well. Or if you're having trouble with visualization, choose an object that's very familiar to you. I started with an apple when I first started meditating. That was really familiar to me. Okay. Eventually, you'd like to get to an image of the Buddha. It's more uplifting, more positive imprint. But try again something that's simple, that you can visualize. A lot of people say to me, I can't visualize anything. I have trouble visualizing. Okay. And then I say to them, pizza. I say, close your eyes and visualize. Pizza, they have no problem. They go, oh, yeah, I can. So it's not that you can't visualize. It's just maybe you're not familiar with a Vajrasattva image. It's a Buddha of purification. That's all. We're just not familiar. Okay. But again, you're going to close your eyes, practice bringing that object to mind. Now, if you want to change objects, that's fine, but stay with one object for 2 or 3 days. Don't just keep jumping around. Then try 2 or 3 days another object. And then finally settle on something, and then start using that over and over to see if you can build some consistency with concentration. Okay, so what I'd love you to do this week again is, we're setting up, just like the meditation we did briefly tonight. You set it up, get used to that. Like, I've got things. Now you can adapt a few things, and we have different techniques. But basically you're getting this thing, the posture, the motivation, the relaxing, get into a thing, and then try some meditation like that. Okay. Let me talk a little bit more about obstacles. We have things, as we know, such as negative and disturbing thoughts, afflictive emotions, okay? And what we call them in Tibetan Buddhism is delusion. Delusion is just an imbalance in the mind, and we all have them as ordinary beings. If you're an ordinary being, also called a sentient being, sentient means with a mind, with a consciousness that's kind of unpurified, not a Buddha's consciousness, okay? They don't have delusions, Buddhas. like that. But sentient beings, ordinary beings like ourselves do. And that's just simply a disturbing state of mind, such as you know, anger, hostility, fear, depression, anxiety, pride, jealousy, doubt. I think you get the idea, right? So, what we'd like to do and what we're trying to do on this path is, first of all, in meditation, we become more aware of some of those delusions so we can clean them out. And what happens a lot of times is we think we're just cruising along and we're really great. And then you get into spiritual practice, and suddenly people say, I think I used to be a good person, but now I'm just seeing all this negativity in my mind. It's simply that the dirt was at the bottom of the water glass and the water glass looked relatively clear. Spiritual practice is when you put the stirrer into that glass, and now it stirs up the dirt at the bottom and the glass looks really murky. Okay? That is spiritual practice, not the point to make your mind murky and dirty and negative, but I need to see what's in there first in order to know what to clear out. Then I see it, then I can clear it out. Otherwise, I'm disguising, I'm hiding behind, I've got a really relatively clear water glass that looks pretty good. That dirt's still going to be in there following you lifetime to lifetime. We would like to erase that. And you can permanently in Buddhism. You can get rid of all the negative aspects and enhance all your positive qualities. That's when you become a Buddha. And then you're happy and peaceful all the time and fully empowered to benefit all other beings as well. Okay, so these disturbing negative states of mind become other obstacles in meditation, okay, especially when they arise with incredibly overwhelming power. Okay, and the mind, this is when we're in front of somebody and we have absolutely no control over the mind. So the first thing is, because we've already spoken about the nature of the mind, clear and knowing, those two characteristics are your mind, clear and aware. Okay. And the mind has no beginning or end. It's a stream of consciousness, of thoughts, experiences, emotions, memories, like that. And so what happens is sometimes anger is in the mind, for instance, simply because there's a previous habit of that in the mind, previous moment in the mind. Fear or anxiety is in the mind because you're habituated with that in your mind. That's all. It is not your mind. So one wonderful antidote in this way is to de-identify with the emotion, de-identify with the delusion. Meaning, you may label yourself a depressed person. You're not really a depressed person. You just have more depression in your mind, a lot. That's all. You may not be an angry person. You may just have a lot of anger in your mind at times. Or you may have a lot of anger in your mind in relation to that experience or that person. That's all. We're not blaming that experience or that person. You're just acknowledging, using mindfulness to be aware. When I'm in this certain situation, we start noticing through our meditation practice, I get very tense. When these people are around, I seem to say the wrong things. Okay? We learn more about that when we're meditating, and we start analyzing when we meditate. As a result of that, I start protecting myself more and setting up better boundaries in everyday life to better manage my mind, okay? So again, what happens with these delusions is our mind over-identifies with them, gets heavy and gets stuck with them and feels like this will never change. I'm always going to be like this. These people, that's all they see when they see me, okay? So what you want to do is go after your biggest delusion first. When I just mentioned that list to you just now, anger, attachment, jealousy, fear, anxiety, depression. I may not have said attachment. Attachment's a big one. Confusion, lethargy, forgetfulness. I'm just naming more of them. Okay. Pride, doubt. One or two of them jumped out for you, I'm sure. You go, oh, that's mine. Okay. So go after the biggest one first. Identify what it is, get clear. Most of us are clear what that is. And then we want to start working on different antidotes, because they each have different antidotes as well. Okay. So for instance, and I'll just ask you, any of you, I know this is a little revealing, okay? Does anybody want to just name a delusion that you'd like to go after? You can put it in the chat. You can unmute. What are you curious as an antidote? Yes, please, Pat.
Fear.
Fear. Okay, a lot of people have fear. Anxiety is also like that. Worry, like that. And I'm going to use a positive word, concern. Concern I find positive. Fear, worry, and anxiety pull you into the delusion, drag you down. Okay, so fear. What you want to do with fear, like most of these delusions, the first thing is you want to understand the nature of fear. You want to understand kind of, sometimes you even look at the definition of some of the delusions. So fear has this apprehension. It's not really sitting in the present. It's kind of worried about what might come, what all the possibilities of what may happen. And notice how you feel, how the body and mind is when you're afraid. But then you want to analyze. What is the fear grounded in? Is it realistic to have this fear? And often His Holiness will also say, ask yourself realistically, what can you do about it? What can you do about this fear? And if there's something you can do realistically, beneficially, not at harming anyone, but if there's something realistically that you can do, then do it. Why not take action and just get through it? Go for it with your best effort. But sometimes you come to a fear and you go, there's really nothing I can do about it. So can you practice letting it go, that experience? Can you practice letting it go? We have free floating anxiety and fear, things that aren't even rooted in anything. That's just a habit in the mind, just a habit in the mind. I do know someone, and I kind of call it thought replacement, thought interruption and thought replacement. There's some people that are just worriers. I know some people, they just have a habit. They've worried since they were a kid. So there's a karmic seed in there ripening. That's all it is. It comes in from past lives if they were a kid when they worried. Literally, there's one kid close in my life since he was 3. He just had something he needed to worry. He was always worried about something. There was nothing wrong. He was 3 years old, for God's sake, right? Okay. So it's just a habit in the mind that must have come in from past lives. So he has a habit. He's an adult now. He just has a habit of worrying. And there was a phone call I had with him years ago. There was nothing to worry about. He had a great job, great place to live, partner, everything good, good money he was making, planned a trip with his friends. They rented a house in another country. They were going to go, all excited. He'd done it before. It was looking forward. And then on the phone, he started obsessing about the house. Well, maybe the house doesn't have this, and maybe we don't have that. And these are young guys that are pretty flexible, and he started telling me all this. And I said, oh, so this is just your latest thing to worry about, isn't it? And he stopped and we kind of laughed. And I said, because you really don't have anything to worry about. This is your holiday. And whether the house isn't perfect or not, it's still going to be pretty fun, isn't it? And he said, yeah. And I said, you're just worrying out of habit that you need something to worry about. And he said, oh yeah, you're right. Like, so some people it's just a habit. If you recognize that thought interruption, sometimes you say to yourself, or you ask your partner or somebody close to you, and they notice you're worrying about, stop thinking. It's easier if you say to yourself, stop thinking about that thing. I don't really need to think about it right now. Okay. And then right after that, can you replace the worry thoughts with something really positive? Even visual images. So for instance, I do know a woman who really has severe anxiety, and she's been in treatment for a long time, and she's really getting on the other side of it. She's really doing well. And what she does is her visualization, you're going to have your own, but she visualizes herself in a small room filled with puppies, puppy dogs. Seriously, you have to find your own image, because for her, that's a delightful image. She loves puppy dogs. She visualizes them soft, squirmy, squealing, happy, tails wagging, jumping on her, licking her face. A happy scene. And she just goes right there when she notices the anxiety. She notices her throat constricting, heart racing, whatever's going on. And she just has a moment in her mind, stop, and puppy dogs is what she works on for her. Again, you can try your own experiences, pick out your own images, and just try to, once again, applying your concentration to the replacing image for a moment. Personally, I like to use my practice. So when I visualize the Buddhas, my merit field like that, I can actually engage them in conversation. I'm struggling with this right now. I'm struggling with that. Some of you know I'm making tsatsas, these Buddha images. And, some days they're not turning out very well. And I might go back to my meditation space and say, I really want them to come out, because if not, it takes me a long time to fix them. And it's very time consuming, and it's really hard on my eyes. And so I'll discuss with my merit field, can you please help me have them come out nicely? And it just lifts up my mind. I just feel like I'm really connected to these Buddhas, my teachers, and they're there around me all the time, even though I can't really see them. Make the practice come alive like that for you. It's possible. So those are a couple things with fear, with worry. Here's another funny thing with worry. This is a little bit more amusing. For those of you that have a habit of worrying, okay, and it's not that constructive when you worry. Concern is just what I was saying from His Holiness. But there's many things we're concerned about. Oh, wait a minute, what's my responsibility? What can I do in that situation? Well, let me do it then. There is something I can do beneficially, and the kind heart, do it. And sometimes with concern, I'll notice there's nothing I can do. I just have to let it go. No point overthinking it like that. So that's concern is different. But with worry, why not try scheduling your time to worry? Worriers need some time to worry. That's just something they do. Okay. So, and I'm serious. You notice this worry keeps coming up, and it's at night keeping you up. You can't go back to sleep. Okay. You wake up in the middle of the night. You've explored. What can you do? Whatever. It's still coming up. It's still finding its way into your mind. Okay. Thursday at 4 p.m. That's my worry time. 4 to 4:30. So every time that worry comes up in your mind, again, stop thinking, I don't need to do this right now because I've got Thursday at 4. Put it on your calendar, Thursday at 4. Rather than say worry, maybe say concern. But if you want to put worry, that's okay. But seriously, drive all the worries into that half hour. Maybe make it 15 minutes. Because what's going to happen is you let go of them in the current moment, let it go. And you go, because I have Thursday at 4. When Thursday at 4 comes around, if you see it on your calendar, so you're forcing to worry, but you're not worried at that particular moment. So you don't worry. So it starts reducing the habit of worry in your mind. Make sense? So those are a few. I don't know if they apply, Pat, to any specific other worries that you have, if there's anything more you want to say.
Yeah, it's pretty general, or it's a kind of, a kind of state of mind.
Like free-floating anxiety?
Um, yeah, but somehow, I don't know, fear captures it more for me than anxiety.
Okay, what are you worried about? What are you afraid of? Because you have to analyze.
Everything.
What's that?
Everything.
You're afraid of me?
A little bit.
So what are you afraid of? That's what I'm curious. What are you afraid of me? What could I do to you?
Yeah, I think judgments. We were just in discovering Buddhism. We were just talking about the 8 worldly concerns. So, approval, praise and blame. Yeah.
Right. So the worst one of those is bad reputation, dishonor.
Right. Yeah.
So notice that, and it's great that you're doing the DB course. Notice how dishonor has you right here. What people think about me, right? That makes us really worried. Who cares what they think about you? If you're leading your ethical life, you're doing the best you can, which, by the way, is only all we can do is the best we can. So if you're doing that, and first of all, I'm not judging you for one, I can say that, but you can still feel that I might be, that people are. It's just that eight worldly dharma is all it is. I'd be more concerned about that than anything else that could really harm you. Right? That eight worldly dharma of that bad reputation, what people are thinking about me. You know, because here's the thing is that is a lot of sitting in the mind. By the way, we all have that. You're not alone. You are not alone at all. You're right there next to me. Okay. But the thing is, everybody's got that. Everybody's got a lot of people. Some people have it worse than others. Right. But you have the self-cherishing for all of us is so big for a lot of us. That's where it comes from. What do they think about me? What are they thinking about me? What are they saying about me? And let me tell you something. Because everybody's so self-absorbed, Pat, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves. That is the reality. I'm not kidding. That's the reality that's going on. So again, let's focus in our practice with reality, touching reality, as Lama would say. Meaning when I start worrying about what people think about me and this and that, I'm not really in a real place. You know, I'm in a delusional place in my head, which we're all there with you. You're not alone. But that's what goes on. And then I really take myself when people are too busy thinking about themselves to really focus on you. So here's from Lojong teachings, higher level teachings, the Lojong slogans from Master Tisha, place all the blame on one. What's the one?
It's
What's
the
the one?
self-cherishing.
Self-cherishing, that's right. The only thing to blame is your self-cherishing. It's the only thing, and that creates a lot of fear. Our self-cherishing, fear of me. This is me. I need to be the best. What do they think about me? I'm not doing this well. They're going to, you know, so much of that is not going on. Those thoughts are not going on. So the more we just chip away, it's great that you could mention it. And thank you so much for saying that, because a lot of people are shy to speak, to reveal. But thank you for saying that, because we all get into that. We all get into that. And it's very brave of you. But that's the thing, is really keep cutting it down and going, you know, no, there's nothing really, you know, for me, what's scary, I mean, I'll just go through fear, and I don't know, the rest of you have different, we all have different fears. If is dying in a lot of pain, something I can't really control. I don't feel like I can control that. They can control with morphine. I understand that. But you know, I'm talking, or something happens physically to you and you bleed out really quickly, some accident. That's really something like an emergency for me, those kind of things, which create a lot of anxiety and fear. Like, oh my God, they're going to die soon if we don't, you know. So, but again, we do get in habits in our minds of these other things seem to be more important, like what people think about me. And a lot of our culture is like that. A lot of our culture influences us that way. So again, you just be the best you can. And hey, you're here hosting Shanti Deva tonight and this course, and I'm so grateful to you. So thank you so much. But anyway, it's really interesting to look at those fears. Thank you. I want to do a meditation now. How do we deal on a meditative level with some of these? This is your third little exercise. So all I'm asking this week is, first of all, please get on your cushion. Please try as much as you can. We've got a number of handouts and meditations we've been doing, but find an object on which to meditate, a visual object. Close your eyes, bring it to mind as best as you can. Try some shine as you set up that meditation practice. And now we're going to go to a more analytical meditation. So what you can do, set up the practice exactly as we did, right? 5-10 minutes on concentration on the shine, right? And then you could go to handout 8, which is transforming negative experiences into positive. So that way you get a real full rounded practice of all setting it up, getting in the thing, concentration, and now some analytical, applying that concentration with an analytical thing, and then we're going to dedicate the merit. So I'm just trying to keep over and over showing you how we can do this. And I'm going to follow this one. I have sometimes a different one of transforming negative experiences, but I'm going to follow this from handout number 8, this meditation. So just sit comfortably once again. And again, very easily, if you can, just settle the mind on the breath for a moment. So spend a few moments right now thinking about your day and some experiences you've had today. And focus especially on difficult situations that may have arisen. So situations you may have been impatient. Maybe you snapped at someone. You've seen others and judged them as problems or enemies or difficult people. And maybe if it wasn't today, maybe this past week or month. So take a situation right now. And as you focus on this situation, zeroing in, remember right now the situation is over and you're simply experiencing memories of something that's gone and in the past. And let's just remember what did happen. And as if you're now playing a video of the incident, just take a few moments, just a few minutes and push the play button and let it roll. This challenging situation. And just watch and observe your mind. Watch and observe your behavior as this situation replays for you. And as you're watching it, rather than getting involved in the drama, in the being toppled, let's say, by a delusion, okay, can you manage right now as you're observing to just de-identify with whatever negative experiences were coming up in your mind? You're just simply watching right now. Just observe. Now reflect about the disadvantages, so the harmful nature of the negative responses that took you over during this situation. So for a moment, you might remember how you felt in this situation, how uncomfortable it was, or how much you regret you had afterwards. Just reflect on that for a moment. Was this situation comfortable or peaceful? Or was it agitated? Did you say things you didn't mean to say? Just notice it. But again, from a somewhat de identified experience, you're just observing right now. You're not judging yourself. No heavy feelings on yourself. You're just watching. And were there others around? Did it affect them negatively? Did it make them happy or afraid or disturbed? So we're just getting the whole picture. And the reason is, when we reflect on this, is we really want to understand how the delusions are not helpful. Some people mistake and think parts of them can be helpful. We want to get that sense, not a beneficial place. And did your negative response help the situation at all? Did it lead to a positive solution? Did it help everyone? Yourself? Do you feel good and understand each other better? So, right now, generate a very strong feeling of how extraordinary it would be if you could better manage these difficult situations, better manage your mind in these difficult situations. Just generate that feeling in your heart. How much better it would be if I could control myself and control my mind. But just let the heart expand into that feeling. It's not constricting, it's not laying a trip on yourself. We're going to develop and grow into that space. So that's why I want to make this determination. And now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to that situation we brought up. Let's rewind it, go back to the beginning, push the play button. Now you get to do it over in a very positive way. We're going to practice that. What would you say instead? How would you like to have acted instead? With warmth, openness towards yourself and other people, perhaps with calm and balance, without the anger or agitation or anxiety, as if you are reacting perfectly. Push the play button. Let it go. Practice something new. And just observe the space around the people, the effect it has on you and others. And if it's a short incident, go back to the beginning again, rewind, play it again with this perfect behavior. This is how we do it over and over, but realistic manner. How could I respond the next time? Let me practice it now. So maybe the 80th time you practice it on your cushion. And the day after that, you're back in front of the difficult person or the difficult situation. And because that's become a pattern in your mind, the good practice, maybe that's what automatically gets activated. That's how it works with meditation. So just replay again, another time back through the situation, and let it roll with a more beneficial response. How do you feel about yourself right now? Looking at yourself at the end of this more positive situation. And how's the environment and the people around you, if there are any? So take a moment now to make a strong determination, as best as you can, the next time you encounter difficulties that really try your patience or that really make you anxious or attached. Take a couple deep breaths. Maybe take a mental step back. Gain some perspective and try to respond with openness and patience, like your meditation. So just make that determination right now in your heart. And additionally, can you make a strong determination that as these delusions will keep arising, that you'll practice this meditation over and over and over to overcome the negative experiences and basically to train your mind to respond with more kindness, balance, and patience. If you'd like, make that determination right now. Please relax. And when you're ready, please open your eyes. Any questions in general or any questions about the meditation or about other delusions? I've also got one quick question for Pat. I believe next week, which is July 2nd, I think we don't have class. Is that correct? July 2nd? Because of the holiday
I was
weekend?
going to ask you the very same thing.
Okay, I thought we had skipped.
I can, let me see if I can quickly call up my registration. Hold on a
Okay,
second.
and I'm also going to check something as well if I can. I just
Yeah,
want to
so
double
let me
check.
see. Yeah, the next one is 7/9. Yeah, so it does
Yes,
not meet this coming Friday.
that's right. I see it too. I have it on one.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
I
7.
just wanted to clarify that for everyone, so that there isn't class because of the holiday weekend. Some people will be away, so there won't be class next weekend. And okay, great. So I just want, so what I would really ask is to try, that's handout 8. And just to clarify what we've been through so far, we have meditations on scanning the body, which we've done as like a relaxation, okay? Counting the breaths. There's a bare attention exercise. There's 2 meditations, meditation like the sky and meditation like the ocean, which we did in a variation as the clarity of consciousness. So you could do the meditation like the sky, like the ocean, just so you have these references. That is when we talked about the nature of the mind. There's the 9-round breathing, and there is the transforming the negative emotions into positive. The other handout that is the 7-point postures is technically another handout. It's not really a meditation, but it's another handout. So I just want to clarify the 8 so far that we've been working on. Okay. And we've got 4 more coming up that I'm going to talk about. Okay. Let me go on a little bit in the remaining time. I just wanted to ask people, from the meditation, helpful? Is it helpful, that meditation? But again, it is designed to be done. And I do this one called Dealing with a Difficult Person. I've led that many times. These are designed to be done over and over again. And honestly, I just, one stride I had with a person very close to me that I love dearly, and is sometimes they're so challenging. And I was living far away from them, but they could push my buttons so well. So I over and over did this meditation with them in front of me, over and over and over, really, just countering what I was going to say and how I was going to. And one day, right in front of them, it got activated. And it completely shredded all the other behavior we used to have between us, of this negative kind of pattern we get into. And they didn't know how to respond. So what happens is, when we have a difficult person in our life, or a challenging person, or the person that pushes our buttons like no other, and we really wish they wouldn't, okay? So we get into our minds, and you even say things like, if I could just change them, right? But I'm sorry to let you know, you can't change them. It's about changing your mind, okay? So through the meditation, for me, over and over, repeating it, I suddenly got in front of them, and that's what got activated, was the new behavior. Why? Because I practiced it so much. It got activated, and this is what it did, the other person, for the first time ever, was silenced. They were in such shock that I responded in a very positive, different way. After the button got pushed, in fact, what was happening is I was deinstalling the button. So they kept verbally trying to push that button. I could see them, and I was like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. Like, very sedate and calm. And as a result of that behavior, my behavior changing, their behavior changed. They had to adapt in a positive way. It was so exciting to me. I was really like, this Dharma really works, you know? But it really does work. But the thing is, you have to apply yourself to it. And it was really exciting. Now, here's the thing. If it happens once with that person, or in some situation, Don't beat yourself up if the next time you fall flat on your face. And the reason is and then I just went right back to my cushion and I went back at it again, over and over. And I got better and better at it. And that's really why we meditate. That's one of the reasons we meditate and why we do analytical meditations like that. So again, you try your best. Just try your best. Okay. Okay. One last little thing I'm going to go on. Okay. Okay. Talking a little bit more about getting this meditation session set up. And of course, we talked about motivation and dedication, which I can't really speak enough about. Um, but again, there's 4 basic components that we talk about. Calming the mind, which we've talked about tonight, setting the motivation, then the actual meditation, and a dedication like that. Now, I tend to structure mine slightly differently, but it's very similar. What I just said is I first set the posture. Okay, here they're breaking it down with handout 9, the meditation session parts. So feel free to jot down notes, but you can break it into 4 distinct parts: calming the mind, setting the motivation, the actual meditation, and a dedication. So for instance, for me with calming the mind is going to be setting my posture, relaxing, like scanning the body and just relaxing, and maybe settling the mind on the breath for a moment, and maybe doing a little, you could do 9-round breathing before you get the motivation. That's fine. So all of that is just a little bit, okay, I'm meditating now. I'm going into my session. Wonderful. Then set the motivation. Okay. This is your launching pad motivation. Very key part of every activity we do is the motivation. Huge part is me directing my awareness in a positive way. Just to have a drink of water, just to go to the grocery store, just to meditate without that directed motivation, especially in our tradition, which is about Mahayana tradition, Bodhisattva path is about becoming a Buddha to benefit all living beings. The goal is to benefit all living beings. The way to do it perfectly is as a fully realized or enlightened being, a Buddha. Okay. So a lot of times we think the Mahayana path is to benefit all living beings. No, it's to get enlightened to benefit all living beings. That's really our deeper motivation on this path. Now you can have a motivation about anything. You can direct your mind, I want to be happy today. Great. But the real Mahayana motivation, what plants deeper seeds of virtue and positivity in your mind that will help you become a Buddha more quickly, will help you progress along this path more quickly, is that I'm doing this meditation right now, not just for my own calm and happiness and all that. That's a wonderful byproduct, but it's really to plant seeds to get me enlightened quickly so I can benefit all living beings. Great. So that's that motivation. Huge, huge there, the role of that intention, okay, in determining the nature of our following actions. Okay. And I do find when I really, now what happens is we blah, blah it because we're so used to saying it. If you've been at this path a long time, like Linda and other people. Okay. So we just say, I become Buddha, and you don't even, so really put your mind present there. And I take time when I do my, especially in the morning, the first motivation. The motivation gets rekindled and reestablished for me throughout the day when I can. And if I find I'm a little off balance, all of a sudden, wait a minute, lost my focus. Oh, that's right. This is so I can become a Buddha to benefit all of it. And then it just kind of settles and supports me. But usually in the morning, especially if I'm in one of my practices, one of the prayer things is I really take some time to think about the suffering of sentient beings. Really want to sit with that for a moment. There are beings all over this planet that need our help, really, really need our help. And right now I'm limited in helping them. So I kind of stay there for a while and think about even people I know, people I've heard about, people I don't know, you know, and there's so many incidents every day. You know, the dog at Tushita Dharamsala, our center in Dharamsala, the dog that was there, 17 years old, died the other day. And a friend of mine that was very intimately involved with this dog and took care of her, but she's not there right now because of COVID. And the suffering, you know, of a message from her this morning about the dog and how she wasn't, you know, and just that suffering heart. And then another friend of ours, a nun in Rio in Brazil, her brother's in the ICU on a ventilator with COVID. So the concern for the family, and when it got worse and suddenly he was bad and then he was worse and then he was in the ICU and then the next thing he's intubated on a ventilator. Like it's, you know, so all, but these are just two people I know, let alone all the people I don't know. So I like to stay there for a while. Yeah, a few minutes, you know, really thinking of like, I'm so limited right now. I'm trying my best and I'm going to keep on this path. But if I were a Buddha, I would know the best way to help every moment and I would act from there. And byproduct, I'd be happy all the time. So that's a nice byproduct, but that's not the reason. The reason is I really be able to help these beings. So really that motivation, and that's what's directing me. And I'm going to lose that motivation through the day. I'm going to forget it. Okay. But I'm going to get oriented in that, especially in the morning when I start the practice. And then dedication, a way of sealing and directing the positive energy, like we're going to do right now at the end of this session, that I've created. So I'm going to seal it in like that and direct it so that it ripens in positive ways to help me get to that place. For ripens in positive ways for my life, for the world. Okay, but to really get me into that space where I can be a Buddha again, before all that positive energy and merit dissipates, before it gets destroyed by my negative actions, I'm sealing it in. For what? To become a Buddha quickly so I can benefit all living beings. Okay, so we're going to end there. And I also want to mention, if you have the book How to Meditate, which is recommended for this course as well, it's a wonderful book by Kathleen McDonald, who really is our longest term nun in our organization. Venerable Sangye Kadro is her ordained name, and she's a wonderful teacher and a wonderful nun and a dear friend. If you have How to Meditate, pages 26 and 27 talk about that conducive place to meditate at home, the quiet spot where you're undisturbed, a consistent place if you can, you know, an altar if it's helpful. And there's a little explanation about that that you can review as well, which is really helpful. Like that. And she's also got chapter 2 in How to Meditate about dedication and things like that that you can read. And I'm just going to bring up and share my screen of a few meditations from COVID that Rinpoche likes us to do right now that I thought I would lead a few of these that we can do together in closing. So I would also like to dedicate to the beings right now with COVID. May they be released of that immediately. I'd like to dedicate to the long lives of our precious teachers, His Holiness and Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and especially for Ninjay, the dog who passed away, for Geshe Tenley of our Boston Center at Kurukula Center, who is recovering from a very serious accident. I'd really like to direct our efforts and our dedication and merit to his full, swift well-being. And I'd like to dedicate to Joanne Lemson, Jody Galt, Ross Lasley, and Norma Harris, and Debbie Warner, who are struggling with various serious illnesses. And I'm going to share my screen. And sometimes it's helpful, Pat, if you mention to people, you put stuff in the chat. So there are upcoming events you can look at that Pat has listed there, because a lot of people sometimes they don't look in the chat. So we're going to do, can you make me a host so I can share my screen? Is that possible? If it's possible, thank you. No, I'm disabled, it says. It's okay if you can't do it. Oh, here we go. Thank you so much. Wonderful. Okay, so if you'd like to join in, can people see these dedications? Great. taking all this positive energy. O Janju Senjo Rinpoche Ma Ke Banam Ge Gyurchik Ke Banyam Pa Me Pa Yi Gone Gondu Pelwar Shog. However many sick sentient beings there are, may they quickly be freed from all sicknesses. May all the sicknesses without exception of transmigratory beings never occur again. By the force of the victorious one, Tsongkhapa, acting as our direct Mahayana virtuous friend in all our lives, may we never turn away for even a second from the pure path highly admired by the victorious ones. And we're going to go over here. Rinpoche says this is the most important, is dedicating with emptiness, to seal the merits with emptiness. Due to all the past, present, and future merits collected by me, the numberless Buddhas and the numberless sentient beings, which are completely empty of existing from their own side, may I, who am completely empty of existing from my own side, achieve the state of full enlightenment, which is completely empty of existing from its own side, and lead all sentient beings who are completely empty of existing from their own side to that state which is completely empty of existing from its own side, by myself alone, who am completely empty of existing from my own side. So any understanding you have of emptiness, just take a moment to reflect on that here. I fully dedicate all these virtues to be able to train just like the hero Manjushri who knows reality, and just like Samantabhadra as well. And for the long life prayers for His Holiness the Dalai Lama and Lama Zopa Rinpoche. The wish-granting, wish-fulfilling jewel, source of every single benefit and happiness in this world, to the incomparably kind Tenzin Gyatso I beseech, may all your holy wishes be spontaneously fulfilled. For Lama Zopa Rinpoche, you who uphold the subduer's moral way, who serve as the bountiful bearer of all, sustaining, preserving, and spreading Manjunath's victorious doctrine, who masterfully accomplish magnificent prayers honoring the three sublime ones, Savior of myself and others, your disciples, please, please live long. Thank you all so much. And I'd like to dedicate also to the flourishing of Shantideva Center, all of our centers. Thank you so much, Pat, for hosting. And I will see, if not before, I will see all of you, I hope, in 2 weeks. And I hope to also maybe see you July 6th. I'm leading a program for Shantideva for His Holiness's birthday. So maybe you can join that, and I wish you all the best, and please take care. And if anyone is interested, I'm making the last of the tsatsas, the last that I'm able to make right now. I don't know if I'll finish them right now, but I'm starting to wind down. If anybody wants a box, I can send an assorted box. If you, I'll put this is my email, just email me. And I just ask people to pay the shipping, which is $21.90. So, and I'll send you out a little box, all bubble wrapped and everything, of these Buddha images like that. So let me know. Thank you so much. And please be well.
Much
Thank
gratitude.
you.
Thank you, Pat.
Please take care.